We just got done with a new Nintendo Direct, and Nintendo just aired their June 9th, 2026 Nintendo Direct, and there's a lot of ways I could start this video off. I'll start off with the fact this Direct did have a lot of hype riding behind it. It's been a long ass time since the last Nintendo Direct we got, September 2025. It's been 9 months. That Direct also had a lot of mixed receptions and reactions to it. The timing of it all especially. I thought the Direct was good. I enjoyed it. But of course, me being the Mario fanboy I am, it makes sense why, because of the Mario 48 stuff. But even outside of that, I thought the Direct was still good. But I do agree, it was a matter of timing. The timing for that Nintendo Direct was not ideal, because they did still announce a lot of smaller titles, not as popular as the big dogs, right? Your Mario Tennis, your Yoshis, your Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. I forget some of the other stuff they announced in that Direct, but I liked it more than most people, but I do agree, the timing of it could have been better. Some of the announcements could have been better, right? You fast forward to now. The negative reception is like quadruple folded. People hate this Direct. This was probably the worst received Direct in a hot minute, in a long ass time. This is the worst received Direct in the Switch 2's life as well. But I also don't think it comes down to just those expectations, right? It's been a long ass time since the last Direct. It's the Switch 2. We're still dealing with a brand new console. We're in the second year of this console's life. And the second and third year of a console's life generally is usually when they get their big stride, their big momentum. They start pumping out big, fat, major games that are going to push these systems, the real system sellers. That's what usually happens. And the back half of this year, we don't know shit about like what fall and winter games are going to come. Star Fox is coming in a couple weeks. Splatoon Raiders is coming next month. Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave was probably coming late summer, early fall, and it is. But we didn't know anything for that holiday window. Any major games, any first-party stuff coming for Nintendo. And that was reason to get excited. That is just a normal expectation because that is the standard for what most companies do. The second year of the Switch 1, 2018, you could argue was still smaller because you had stuff like Mario Tennis, Mario Party, and a Pokemon remake. But at least with Nintendo, they went all in on hyping that year up with just the one game, one of their heaviest system sellers being Smash Bros. Because 2018 was just the Smash Bros. Year. So at least it makes sense from that sense. People forgive that year because at least Nintendo went all in on a massive system seller. And I think there is a disparity between people who like set their expectations up just too high, but they at least understand it could be a little bit of a pipe dream. They don't get too fussy over not getting that thing. And then there are people who like expect fucking Smash, 3D Mario, 3D Zelda, F-Zero, Mario RPG, that kind of thing every 1 to 2 or maybe even to 3 Directs. Like, I think there is a difference, and like you often get people who say, oh yeah, your expectations are up too high. I don't think it was a high expectation to expect Luigi's Mansion 4, man. Even when Nintendo's probably gonna go big for their Mario Kart World DLC, because Mario Kart World is open world, they probably want some kind of open world thing for their DLC. I don't even think it was unrealistic to expect Mario Kart World to get DLC. That was not an unrealistic expectation. There's like a way of people communicating with that kind of thing. Most cases, it's with that kind of arrogance of like you expect something, you have these expectations up too high, and you do have people you should tell those things to, but I don't think that's most people in this instance. I think there is a stroke of objectivity with these presentations, with these Directs, like with any presentation, any show, any game, etc. Even when a lot of it is us projecting our own subjectivity, our own opinions in it. I think there is still some stroke of objectiveness you can glean from with how companies reveal certain games, if the games are a big deal, if it's something their core audience is going to care about, the timing, the release date, the pacing of the presentation, how long you spend on a game, all that kind of stuff and then some. I think that does constitute which Nintendo Directs are good and which ones are bad. I enjoyed this Nintendo Direct. I could say I probably enjoyed it more than most people, but even I came out of it thinking, guys, what are we doing? Like several instances, I'm like, okay, buddy. You're spending a little bit too much time on fucking thumb wrestling for a Nintendo game. Switch Sports Resort, right? I knew, like, frame one, when they were focusing on that, like, I knew people were going to be upset about that. Because that is just, like, a filler thing that shouldn't be in a Nintendo Direct. And even then, you have stuff like, oh, look at that, a new Donkey Kong game on NSO. Oh, it's only going to be playable for 3 fucking months and then it's going to be gone? Oh, look at that, Dust Bloods. Very popular, highly anticipated third-party game. Where's the gameplay? Oh, you're telling us there's going to be a closed network test? Cool. Where's the gameplay, man? Oh, the big last thing, our holiday game, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, is getting remade. Oh my god, yes. The only Zelda game I pretty much played. Where's the gameplay? Where's the gameplay, Nintendo? I think trying to tell someone you set your expectations up too high can only go so far, man. Let's say Ocarina of Time, right? The remake is going to be this big, old reimagining. It's going to be the kind of remake along the lines of Final Fantasy, not the kind like Mario RPG or Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. It's going to be faithful. It's going to be very faithful to the original, but it has to do something more than just being a good-looking, faithful remake. It's going to change some things, maybe gameplay-wise or story-wise. It's going to tweak a lot to where it's going to feel like its own definitive game, but it's going to feel separate from the original, right? Let's say Ocarina of Time does that. Expecting an Ocarina of Time remake was one thing, but after Star Fox, the fact of remaking Star Fox 64 for the third time in a row, Nintendo's not above just remaking the same game over and over. So them doing Ocarina of Time was completely realistic in that sense, but there's also the fact the game was leaked. Unfortunately, the game was leaked. Imagine if the game wasn't leaked and we went into this presentation blind, like we were just like, oh my god, they're really remaking Ocarina of Time and it looks good, and then we'd probably be even more pissed, like, where's the gameplay, dude? But Nate the Hates leaks were literally unavoidable. Everyone on all social media sites were talking about it. You just could not avoid it. So there was also that expectation, like, where is it? Is it real? Is Nintendo going to reveal it? And there it is. And it's also the fact that this is our holiday game. It's coming out this year, and it's like, why are you not showing anything for your holiday title when we're in June? Like, game's probably not even coming out till the end of the year. It's coming out in like 4 months or so, right? Like, I think the whole trying to argue you set your expectations up too high, it's like very specific. I think it's kind of specific, and depending on which person you ask. Because there were some things in this Direct I think Nintendo could have genuinely done better that do drag this Direct pretty far down. And there were very big highlights, right? Kingdom Hearts 4. No one expected Kingdom Hearts 4 in this Direct, and that just made that surprise way better. And you still had a lot of really cool, really big announcements, like those games still, even with the drawbacks they have, the Xenoblades, the Rhythm Heavens, and the third parties like Rayman Origins, Onimusha, Minecraft, Warhammer, and a bunch of other games still coming to this thing. But I think it's pretty evident why there's good reason people are outraged at this Direct. And I do think this not only is the worst Nintendo Direct within the Switch 2's life, because this is the third one we got so far, and not only is it the worst one so far, but this probably was the worst Nintendo Direct in a long time. This was definitely down there as one of the worst ones. I don't think it's the worst Direct ever. We had dog-ass Directs way back in the day. I don't think this compares to that, but this is one of the weakest ones in a while. It's probably one of the most mediocre ones. And I'll explain why I'm so split down the middle when we go over the games. I'm not going to go over everything. You're going to get the general idea, but Nintendo revealed Rhythm Heaven Groove. Well, they didn't reveal it, but they finally gave us a release date, gave us more details of the game. Comes out early July. That's exciting, but that's pretty much the last major first-party title for Nintendo Switch 1. And they announced a lot of third-party games are still coming to Switch 1, alongside Switch 2. Dragon's Dogma 2, Stellar Blade. Not all of them are going to both platforms, but Switch 2 at the bare minimum. Those two. Rayman Origins, Onimusha, Warhammer, Tales of Eternia, right? Metal Gear Solid Volume 2, the Master Collection, Rise of the Tomb Raider, stuff like that. And a lot of those are good games. The other thing with third parties too, don't get me wrong, there is a point, because I said this in my recent 3D Mario video too, because people argue like Mario fans should play more games. Trust me, man, I'm open as fuck with the fact that my backlog is awful. It's huge. There's a lot of Nintendo series I don't play. There's a lot of non-Nintendo series I don't play. That is most Nintendo fans too. That's the other thing. Most Nintendo fans only play those 1 to 3 series, but that is also me too. I'm open with that fact. I try to be as open as possible with that. I don't try to pretend I LARP being this big Kingdom Hearts fan, Zelda fan, Minecraft, Metroid, Kirby, Persona, etc. There is a point to that, but that is most Nintendo fans. And with the way they do Nintendo Directs, the way they do most of their second and third years, as with most companies, it's not unreasonable for them to expect more out of their first party reveals. That's kind of the thing, but the third-party stuff. Dragon's Dogma 2, cool. Stellar Blade, Rayman Origins, Onimusha's a big game. Most of the games I just mentioned were pretty big deals with bringing over to Switch 2. Final Fantasy XIV Online. Minecraft's an obvious one. But Pokemon Pokopia, that's getting an update in August. But it's also getting DLC, it's just getting an expansion pass. I don't think it's that surprising given how popular and how major of a success Pokopia was. A lot of people are loving that game, so it makes sense they're adding DLC to it. But that's also kind of my thing, right? We're getting Pokopia DLC before Mario Kart World DLC, just as an example. But also, Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, that was the last thing they ended the September Direct on. Makes sense they would give us a trailer for that here. We have more details of the gameplay and the story. It comes out in September. Makes a lot of sense. I can't really add much to the conversation when it comes to Fire Emblem, but yeah, like this is one of the things I was talking about, man. DK Challenge, that's really cool. I like that. It's pretty much like NES Remix or Nintendo World Championships, where you're doing a lot of small challenges, where you're playing levels from the older Donkey Kong games, but it's a specific task and you get like these points and these cards. It's literally like those two games. I think that's really cool. It's an NSO exclusive. I think it's live right now, but and I don't understand. I don't understand why Nintendo is still doing the limited release thing, because DK Challenge, it's up now, I think, and it ends on September 1st. It's like, why are we still doing these limited release things? These literal FOMO games. Especially for a game like DK Challenge, you're just doing basic missions in these Donkey Kong games. Maybe it's because the games are playable on NSO, the Country Trilogy, DK Bonanza's like a whole game you have to play, but then at that point just make it a game you can just buy. I don't understand why Nintendo's doing these limited release things, like with Mario 3D All-Stars, Fire Emblem, Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light, the first Fire Emblem game, because they localized that for the eShop, they made it English, and then they're like, okay, you can't play that anymore, you can't buy that anymore. Like, why? Why are we still doing that, dude? I don't get it. I really don't get it. Mario 35 was another one too. I think that's kind of lame. But also, DK Bonanza's still getting like updates, but the updates they said in this are also kind of lame. I think we could agree Nintendo Land's gonna have a fucking field day with how there was pretty much no Mario anything in this Direct. People were expecting at least a Mario thing. I am a little bit shocked about that, because Mario Kart World DLC, Luigi's Mansion 4, Mario Maker 3, even a tiny bit expecting a 3D Mario, like a tiny bit. You could argue not for 3D Mario, but like all those other Mario things were definitely realistic expectations. But the only Mario thing we got was DK Bonanza's getting an update with costumes where DK and Pauline dress up as Mario and Luigi, and some of the items in the game, like the healing items, the exploding stones, they're gonna have skins of mushrooms, blocks, etc. It's just like a basic ass skin update. That's it, man. It's cute. I don't know if that needed its spotlight in the Direct, and it is kind of a lame ass update too. And of course, like more third parties, Devil May Cry 5, Devil Hunter Edition. I forget the name, but it's literally Vampire Survivors for Jujutsu Kaisen, and I'm like, I like Vampire Survivors. I love Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm like, ooh, I actually might play this game. But one thing I was really hyped for, just the entire Xenoblade Chronicles trilogy getting Switch 2 editions. That was one of the Switch 2 editions people have wanted for a while. X got the Switch 2 edition a while back, but people were asking for the other Xenoblade games to get it. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 needed it the most because it had the most amount of like stuttering, just like poorest performance out of the three. Xenoblade Chronicles 1 Definitive Edition could have gotten it 2, as well as 3. Now all of them are going to be able to be played at 4K, 60 FPS. You're going to get a couple extra features, like Xenoblade 1 now has this fast travel futuristic bike thing you can roll around. That's pretty cool. I was really glad about that. Now I'm glad I waited on not finishing Xenoblade 1 because I only played the first 2 chapters. Now I can play it with better frame rate and 4K. I think that's cool. And one of the lowest key surprising thing out of this Direct too, alongside the Switch 2 editions for Xenoblade, they pretty much just teased and showed a trailer for a new Xenoblade game. Xenoblade Chronicles still continuing getting new games. I don't think it's that shocking for anyone. But this soon? Yeah, maybe not that soon, because Xenoblade Chronicles 3 dropped back in 2022, and it got DLC towards the rest of the year, 2023. But yeah, no, a new Xenoblade game this soon. Well, maybe not this soon, because it's coming out next year. But them revealing a new Xenoblade this soon, I guess, is the main thing. Like, that is pretty surprising. But the game does look cool. It's interesting. It's called Xenoblade Genesis. My instinct is it's a Xenoblade game that takes place probably before all the events of Xenoblade 1 and obviously 2 and 3. I could be wrong. I haven't played most of these games yet, man. Don't take my word for it. But another thing that doesn't help is the leaks, too. One of the games that got leaked, Nintendo Switch Sports Resort, that's coming October 22. That game got leaked, which is unfortunate, but the game does look cool. The fact it's Switch, it's like Wii Sports Resort. It has 12 games, just like Wii Sports Resort. They're not skipping out on any of the games, just like they did with Switch Sports before the updates. I think that's cool, but literally, the thumb wrestling thing was very fillery. Literally had no reason to be in the Direct. I'm not even like that upset. I was laughing, because I could laugh at these kind of cringe, fillery, pointless things they show off in these Directs. But it's because, like, it's pointless. Like, that felt like the most padding thing in the Direct. And it felt like it was exactly the kind of thing they did in Directs back in the 3DS and Wii U days. It's the same principle when Sony does their State of Plays. And they show, like, 20 minutes of a game, of just one game. That's not what makes for a good presentation, man. Like, that shit is kind of stinky. It just wastes time. I wasn't even that upset with the thumb wrestling, but you gotta admit, it was pretty pointless. I also kind of think, I'm not too upset about it, because at least, like, it makes sense. Star Fox got, like, its own little thing. I think it's pointless because we got an overview trailer, and it's coming out in a couple weeks, but, like, it was less than a minute. It's a Nintendo game. At least it was something, even though it was something we already knew about. Dragon Quest Monsters, The Wither World, that game looked cool. Duskblood, that was one of the main things, right? That's, like, one of the biggest, most anticipated third-party games on the Switch 2. We still don't even know what the game is. There was those rumors that the game was going to be a multiplayer online kind of thing or something. I forget the exact thing of the rumor, but it was a kind of game people were not keen on, and we still don't know anything about it. They gave us a little thing explaining a closed network test is coming this summer, but that's it. I guess they'll have to explain more of the game around then or a little after, but it's surprising Duskbloods is still going to be a ways out from where we are right now. It's probably not even going to release this year. It's probably going to be 2027 if they're being this cryptic and vague about the release timing and the details of the game itself. That was a little surprising. I could see why that's disappointing for people. Splatoon Raiders, that got its own little showcase and a Treehouse segment, and the game's coming next month. They're also going to do a direct for Splatoon Raiders June 30th. It's a little more meat on your bones for you Splatoon fans out there. Deltarune, that fed families, that got people hyped, that woke people up. That definitely woke people up. And of course more third parties, but when you think like the lows, the kinds of third parties people were not really paying attention to, One Piece Grand Gourmet, I'm a One Piece fan, man. I don't think anyone's gonna give a shit about a One Piece game in these kinds of directs. Even when you always have like that one anime game or two. I forgot Ninjala was a thing. Ninjala. It's getting a sequel. That's coming. Cool. RuneScape's a popular game. That's been around for God knows how long, but it's like, who fucking cares about Hello Kitty, man? Dragon Quest Monsters, that's cool. Then you're gonna be like, hey guys, Duskbloods exists. Here's a closed network test coming over the coming months. But that's it. Here's Deltarune. But then like the Metal Gear Solid thing, because Metal Gear Solid's good, but some of the re-releases of the Metal Gear Solid games have also been kind of dog water. You hear that from Metal Gear Solid fans, and they'll say the same thing. But Snake Eater Delta sold really well anyways. It was literally just like, it was like a roller coaster, but like not high. It's just like, ooh, I kind of like this. Oh, ooh, like that kind of thing. The highlight of the third-party stuff, though, Kingdom Hearts. They're pretty much putting the main 3 games on Switch 2. It's probably going to be on the game key card. It's not as good as an actual cartridge. If Square Enix had Aura, they would just put it on a normal cartridge, but they probably won't. But regardless, the cloud versions of the Kingdom Hearts games on Switch was a big problem. They were pretty much unplayable, man. They ran like ass, and they were old-ass games, discounting Kingdom Hearts 3. Now with game key cards, like, you're going to have a better time playing the Kingdom Hearts games on Switch 2, if not just getting it digital. That's coming out in October, and probably the biggest highlight of this Direct was Kingdom Hearts 4. I don't think anyone expected Kingdom Hearts 4 was going to be in the Nintendo Direct. People were expecting it for the Summer Games Fest and the State of Play, not Nintendo. And I think that's really cool. It's coming to Nintendo on launch day. That was a really cool sight. That was probably the most surprising thing in this Direct. At least there was that. And, of course, the last big thing, they ended it on an Ocarina of Time remake. It sucks the game got leaked, because this definitely would have made way more waves than it is right now. It's making a lot of waves. I think it's like the only game in the presentation, besides KH4, that's making any waves at all. But Koizumi described it as a reimagining of the original game. I did it as an example earlier, but I think we can all agree it's probably going to be more than just a prettier version of Ocarina of Time. I'm excited, and there is also the disappointment too, like they ended the presentation, and our big holiday game is a remake. It's a remake of a game they already remade on 3DS that already sold really well. Ocarina of Time is one of the most easily accessible legacy Nintendo games, because they put it on Wii Virtual Console, Wii U, the 3DS remake, NSO. You could still play the original right now, but they're doing this modern, next-gen, built from the ground up remake of the original game. I'm excited. Of the little we saw, it looks really good. Like young Link sleeping in his bed in Kokiri Forest looks really, really good. Ocarina of Time's also pretty much the only Zelda game I actually played, beat, almost 100%ed. My best friend got me the 3DS remake for my 18th birthday almost a decade ago. Oh god. I'm turning 28 next month, literally a month from today. Yeah, no, I'm excited, dude. Just like picturing the game 4 generation with graphics and hardware 4 generations after the N64. Because then your GameCube and Wii U and Switch are like the same gen, and then Switch 2. Yep, 4 gens. Ah, dude, I'm so excited. Just like picturing, replaying, and seeing how much better the Realm of the Sages is gonna look. Kokiri Forest, Lost Woods, the temples. We're probably gonna tweak the water temple since that's the most infamous temple in the game. Or the cutscenes. You think we're gonna get voice acting in this? Oh, Oh my god, if we get voice acting, I would be so happy. That would be so cool. But Ocarina of Time's, for the longest time, before Breath of the Wild, it was lauded as one of the best video games of all time, one of the best Nintendo games of all time, the best Zelda game of all time, etc., etc. And when I played it a decade ago, I definitely saw the vision. Like, it is a really good game. The story and the progression of it's really good, the world, the characters, the gameplay. At least from that perspective, it makes sense why they're remaking Ocarina of Time. But they're remaking Star Fox 64 for the billionth time. From that instance, it also makes sense that they remade Ocarina of Time at all. Literally the only thing, they didn't show any gameplay, man. This is our big holiday title coming out this year. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like the only game that's gonna drop in November to challenge GTA 6. But they just didn't show off the actual game itself, man. They kind of did the same thing as that one Tears of the Kingdom trailer where it's that mural and then they explain like the story of it or parts of it. And then we get like 20 seconds of the gameplay. That was with Tears of the Kingdom, or one of its trailers. This one, we just see Link sleeping in the bed. Granted, a beautiful, beautiful cutscene, beautiful models, beautiful lighting, beautiful textures. Oh my god. I might do a video on it. On this remake. It's like the first actual Zelda discussion you'll get, because it is a Zelda game I actually give a shit about, because I actually played it. But yeah, if they actually showed something, I could see this being the actual highlight of the Direct, but because they didn't show anything, it did drag it down a little bit, especially because this is our holiday game. They usually don't just not show what the holiday game and its gameplay is going to be like, even when it's a remake. Because even when it's a remake, they keep showing off Star Fox 64. Like, why not do the same with this Ocarina of Time remake, right? But that's the gist of it, and that's pretty much most of the announcements to speak of for this Nintendo Direct. And I think one thing that also makes this Direct stand out as being pretty weak is because the last big thing is a remake. There's a shit ton of third parties, which is great, but a lot of it is also expected third parties or third parties that have been out for a long time. Most of the first party games are games we already know of, heard about, our Switch 2 editions, etc. And those are still exciting in their own rights. But we all kind of expected Nintendo would lock in a little harder and just give us another batch of big major games to look forward to that would push system sales. That would be the system sellers, more or less. But ever since how well the Switch 2 has been selling, they're not in the same position as they were during the Wii U or the beginning of the Switch. Because with the Switch 1, they had to prove something. They literally had to make a console that people would buy, people would play, make a bunch of games that would actually catch people's eyes and fly off the shelves. After the Wii U and how bad that system was. Going into the Switch 2, the Switch 1 is pretty much their most successful system of all time. Arguably one of the best selling consoles ever. Because I know Sony likes pulling 5 more million units of the PS2 sales out of its asshole and being like, actually guys, the system sold 170 million. They're probably going to push the bar again if the Switch 1 gets close to 159 million, most likely. But it's that and the fact this is the second year of the Switch 2. Usually this is when we start getting more big games. But the Switch 2 is doing so well anyways. Nintendo's not in a position to rush anything. It's also why I think we're not getting a 3D Mario until next year. They're not in a position to prove anything, to rush. There's not nearly as much pressure for that big thing because the Switch 2 is already doing really well as is. So they could just bank on this second year being more low-key, having less popular series and titles like Mario Tennis, Yoshi, Fire Emblem, more remakes, etc. So I think this is them pretty much just playing it safe, playing it comfy, and probably next year they'll dive more into more risky, greater, bigger games. Because we're getting Pokemon next year, we're getting a new Xenoblade next year, and it's heavily rumored we're gonna get a 3D Mario next year. Like already, next year's gonna be pretty stacked. That's the year people are gonna be talking about, oh, we had a good time. But yeah, we pretty much know Nintendo's mindset right now. And it makes sense, but it's still kind of made for one of the worst directs in the longest time. It has been a while since we had a really bad direct. I don't know if I call this really bad, because like the third parties were still good. It literally is just the first parties, and not all the third parties were treated equally, unfortunately, right? I'll be a little generous. I think this direct was kind of mid. I think it was kind of mediocre. Literally, not just because, like, oh, it was middle of the road for most of it. It had high highs and really low lows. It was just a matter of peaks and valleys with this direct. But I'm not knocking you if you like this direct either. If you liked it, sure. More power to you. I see why if you could like this direct, because there were still interesting third-party games. And at least there is, like, a big holiday thing to look forward to. But I could see why people aren't excited for these games, or these Switch 2 editions or third parties, and the way Nintendo went about doing this direct. I think it could have been done better. I think it could have been structured better. I think they could have showed more gameplay for some of these games too. But that's my 2 cents too. I think we could talk about this like adults. I think we could criticize these without throwing a hissy fit that people were setting their expectations too unrealistically, too brazenly, too irresponsibly. Because even some of the people who set their expectations up irresponsibly, they don't cry too much about it, if at all. They at least understand it was a pie-in-the-sky thing. As much as I could say I hope discussion around this direct and the games announced could be more reasonable, more level-headed, civil, right? Like we're already seeing it's not. And that's fine. Like not every direct has to be like this straight banger too. Not every direct has to be like even solid. You're gonna have a stinker every now and then. There is at least a little solace in knowing Nintendo can shit out a not so good direct every once in a while too. But yeah, no, this direct was not the best. It was not it. Let me know your thoughts on it down below. Thank you very much for watching. We'll get better directs in the future. Next year's definitely going to be more interesting too. And I am still interested in Ocarina of Time and KH4, right? So we could definitely look forward to just better directs and better game announcements and executions of said announcements. Stay super.
Yo, hey, 妹妹，嘿，我来呀！共和到哈哈呀，拉面，嘿，来面，排根面。 共和，再见呀！哈哈，拉面，酱手面，谢谢。